that he was conflicted between fighting the people he loved dearly because he did not believe that their methods would get India independence. And he joined sides with people he disliked intensely because he needed to be with them in order to get India independence. And I think that inner conflict that Subhash just talked about is brought out beautifully in Bhuvan's book. We'll read the book to know a little bit more about it. Bhuvan, can I request you to say a few words?
Thank you, Subhash. Coming here on the eve of your birthday, taking the time out to travel all the way from Calcutta to here and going back to Bombay tomorrow. Really appreciate your being here with us today. Chandra Sahab, the more I hear and listen to you, my blood begins to boil. I love the way you come on television. I'm so happy you're here with us today. Dr. Basham Kasturi, eminent historian, a well-known person in the field of academics. I'm happy you could make it this evening. Now, of course, whatever Shashank said about me is all wrong, you know. He didn't even know me then. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My friends from school are here. My teachers from college are here. Lots of relatives are here. I can't thank you enough for coming here. This is my first book. The man India missed the most, Subhash Chandra Bose. Why did I write this book? I wrote this book because Subhash Chandra Bose was the most exciting chapter of the Indian freedom struggle. If you look at it very closely, he was the most unique man we have had in our history. A brilliant academic, goes to Cambridge, qualifies for the Indian Civil Service, the heaven-born service at that time, and resigns, becomes the first Indian to do so. Gives up everything, comes to India, joins the freedom movement. The British jail him 11 times. They exile him to Europe. Yet he becomes the mayor of Calcutta and he becomes the president of the single largest resistance against the British Empire. In India, the Congress Party, he becomes the youngest president. And then, the leaders of the Congress Party don't want him anymore. He goes for an election. The man he calls the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, opposes him in that election, yet Subhash Chandra Bose wins for the second time. Subhash Chandra Bose is then forced to resign and leave. Why? Why did he have to leave the party? Why did he have to start his own party? Why was he eliminated from the system? He was deliberately ignored. He was completely unsung. In fact, he was intentionally painted out. To find out why this happened, that is why I wrote this book. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is also, without doubt, the most exciting and thrilling story in the period of the Second World War. An Indian nationalist with no help, no support, no money, escapes from his house under British police, crosses the Himalayas. Actually, he changed a train at the Old Delhi railway station here. You will read about it in my book. A man as popular as him, traveling incognito through the country, crosses the Himalayas, goes into Afghanistan, travels all the way, reaches Berlin. A Nazi Germany is dominant there. Why was this nationalist doing all this? And the people he meets, be it the ruler of Germany or the ruler of Italy, they are so impressed with him individually as men. The power of his personality takes them. They have never met an Indian like him. They are willing to support him in any way. But he is not begging for support. He's going to pay back every single douche mark he's getting from Germany. These are facts I didn't know. He's so far from India that people think he's lost. But he comes back Today there is the age of Twitter. At that time it was the age of shortwave. He was on shortwave radio. And he was telling his countrymen sitting in Germany that there is a man outside there fighting for you. Don't worry, we will get our freedom. His superhuman feat of traveling from war-torn Europe in a submarine across the Atlantic, being bombed by Allied bombers 24/7, exchanging and changing into another submarine, a Japanese submarine, in the middle of Indian Ocean, near Madagascar, as a civilian who has never been on a submarine before, is not a military person, and reaching Tokyo is unique in Second World War. Nobody did it. No civilian ever did it. It's the only person who did it, Subhash Chandra Bose. For 3 months, packed in a tin, he was 5'9" in height. He couldn't even stand straight. He had to wear the same clothes for 3 months, couldn't take a shower. No walks in the park, no forests, no rivers, no trees, no roads, no friends, only one assistant. Most people speak German on the ship. And at the same time, he's being attacked continuously while that submarine is moving. Threat of danger at every turn. Assassins following him. When he was about to board the submarine, the German Navy told him, there's 97% chance of you're not going to be able to make it. Will you go? He said, yes, I will go. When the submarine reaches Madagascar, and it is parked next to the Japanese submarine, the waves are 70 foot high, and he has to make that change. Luckily, the Germans recorded it on camera, and it's visible how difficult it was. There were sharks all around, and yet he did it, all for India, India's freedom. But we never got to know this side of Subhash Bose. We never got to know who this brave man was. That is why I wrote this book. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was the critical game changer who single-mindedly destroyed the British Empire, the single biggest evil, immoral force that covered 1/4 of this planet, ruled over almost 1/4 of humanity. It was the single biggest thing in the history of humankind that came close to world government. And it had two devices, very strong devices, which made it work. Device number one, the Indian British Army, or the British Indian Army, to take care of internal and external forces. And the second device was the Indian Civil Service, which was taking care of civil administration and revenue. The official policy of the British Empire in India was divide and rule. Divide the society between Muslims and Hindus, make them fight each other, and squeeze the money out of them so that England becomes richer and India becomes poorer. This man, Subhash Chandra Bose, was the critical game changer. He had resigned from the ICS. He had taken out the myth of the glowing ICS. And he converted the thought process of the Indian military from having allegiance to the British crown and giving their life for the King of England to joining him and working for him in the Indian National Army. As Subhash ji said, Subhash Chandra Bose was a very spiritual person, but privately. Professionally and politically, he had no religion. He was working for the nation. He reversed the British doctrine of divide and rule into the INS doctrine of unity, faith, and sacrifice. He united all faiths. India is a multicultural country. He united all faiths under one flag, one war cry, one military objective, India's freedom. Nearly 70 years after India's independence, we have forgotten all this. That is why I wrote this book. The man India missed the most is also the story of the INA, who fought and won us our freedom from the British. Yes, they won us our freedom. It's true, the INA lost the Battle of Imphal, the Battle of Kohima. They also lost in Mount Popa. They eventually evacuated from Rangoon and Singapore too. But they were eventually, in the end, victorious. Right here in this city, in the INA trials at the Red Fort. When three men, representing three different faiths of this country, Shahnawaz Khan, Prem Sehgal, and Dhillon, were tried by the British as traitors. The entire judiciary, top-level judiciary of this country united. Soon, the entire civilian population across religions and regions and provinces united. And finally, the British Indian Army, the Indian officers and soldiers, as you will discover reading in my book, they started sending letters to their chiefs. You are in for trouble if you touch these guys. The INA trial is not talked about in our country. That was the moment the British Empire lost to one man, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. They had to set those three people free. And within months, there were mutinies in the Navy. There was a mutiny in Jabalpur. The soldiers and officers walked on the streets carrying the big portrait of Subhash Bose. This is the true story of Indian independence movement. The British were forced out of India, not because of non-violence, because of the threat of greater violence. Our children and their children should know the true story of this country, should know what happened in 1946 in Delhi, should know what happened in Bombay during the mutiny of the Navy. That is why I wrote this book. Subhash Chandra Bose was a true blue Indian revolutionary. He has no match, no comparisons. He gave us the most powerful slogan of the Indian freedom movement. Tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi dunga. He told us, it is not about you. It is not about your family. It is not about your neighborhood. It's not about your religion. It's not about money. It's about the nation. He asked us, what are we willing to sacrifice for our country? He made us better than ourselves. He thought of a unified Asia. He created perfect harmony among various religions. He led a regiment of women warriors. He gave us a national salute, Jai Hind. He gave us a national anthem. And in the end, our nation its freedom. And what did we give him? Today, on the 120th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, we need to celebrate his inspirational life, his visionary ideas, and his extraordinary accomplishments. For he was the man India missed the most. And that is why I wrote this book. Thank you. Jai Hind.